Boom, 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 boom. Why, hello everybody, Spencer here, also known as Lego11, and in today's video, I am going to be talking about the Batman movie that just came out a couple weeks ago, March 4th, 2022. That is right, this is the Batman movie review for my channel, and I'm going to be talking about spoilers today. There will be spoilers in this video for the Batman movie, so without further ado, let's discuss. Okay, so without further ado, I do want to mention a couple of things here. I do have notes taken down here on my notebook that I do take down for most of my reviews here. Some of them I've not taken notes for, but I do have notes here for the Batman after I saw it this weekend with a couple of my friends of mine. If you want to check out the vlog I did, be sure to click that card up there. Another thing I want to note, it's kind of dark here today. Couple reasons why. Number one, there's a light out right up there where I do this. I do have lights for my background, but I do have a light right up there that's currently out at the moment. But I thought it would kind of go and coincide with the Batman and the dark. So, I don't know, I just kind of left it dark and no really light. There is light coming outside from my window, so I kind of thought it would be nice. I also have my Flash shirt on that I wore at the Batman because it's DC related. I got rid of my Lego Batman shirt a while back, so I don't remember why I couldn't wear that one, so I wore my Flash shirt. Still DC, not Marvel, so we're in the same genre. Alright, so just a brief little housekeeping before we get started with the review. So, let's kick things off with my notes. The score and the soundtrack for this movie was incredible. By the way, I thought this movie was overall incredible, overall great. I would love to see it in the theaters again, but that might not happen just due with my busy schedule and all that. I at least got to see it in the theater with a couple friends of mine, so that was at least a great experience. Shared experiences. I will definitely, when it's out on HBO Max, I will be checking it out again for sure. But yes, I love this movie. So the score and the soundtrack was definitely something to appreciate. Michael Giacchino strikes again. I definitely think in the next 5 or so, maybe 5-10 years, he could become the next John Williams, or even a shorter period of time than that. I think he can become the next John Williams. Him and I think Ludwig Göransson are definitely in the top 2 spots. I don't want to give it to Hans Zimmer. I'm not saying he doesn't appreciate it, like nail his work, but I feel like Michael Giacchino and Ludwig Göransson are the 2 top contenders for the next kind of John Williams people. But this score just felt like watching the entire movie with my friends, I kept thinking to myself, this is just a big ad for the Batman. Like, every time the theme comes up, I'm like, okay, it's like every 5 minutes, every minute, almost the Batman score comes up. Not really every minute, but it seems like an awful lot when you're watching this movie. The Batman theme, the theme that plays in the trailer is like every scene of this movie, and it's just kind of fun, and you get amped up whenever you hear it. I certainly did, and I feel like all of the excuse me, all of the scenes, like all the action scenes, all of the like when Batman walks up, when all of the dialogue's happening, there's certain motifs and certain tracks that like just capture your attention, and then it just kind of follows into that Batman theme regardless of what is happening and just the certain scenes you're in. It's just amazing. Love the score Michael Giacchino did. Cannot wait for what he brings to his other films. Like, you know, he's done Spider-Man. I was interested to see what he did with this one. Fantastic. Too bad he's not doing Doctor Strange 2, but I'm excited to hear Danny Elfman do that one. So, that's my thoughts on that. So going into my excitement level for this movie, if you're kind of wondering like what my excitement level was for this, it was a bit jumbled. And not because I wasn't interested in this movie at all, but when we first got this movie was supposed to come out 2020? Well, I think it was supposed to come out 2 years ago, because if I'm not mistaken, there were trailers for this movie 2019, and I could be wrong, but I thought I thought maybe it was supposed to be a year ago or even 2 years ago. And because I remember like toys coming out for this movie and like Lego sets and art, even promotional art for this movie, and the trailers, and I'm like, this was pretty cool. And all of a sudden, nope, sorry, we're getting delayed. And then we got a delay again last year. Like, it was supposed to come out fall of last year, and I don't remember why it got delayed till the spring. I don't remember. But regardless of that, like, other things have gotten delayed. It's beyond stupid at this point. But talking about the Flash, I can't say I'm so upset about the Flash. But this movie, even though it got delayed till March, I still loved it. The trailers, their promotions for this film just kept getting better and better. And once I saw it with my friends, like once the reviews started coming out, I was like, wow, this is sounding really good. And I feel bad for the people across the country or across the world that can't even see this movie. Like 15-year-olds can't even see the movie in the UK. Because I guess over there it's rated R. It's quote unquote R for them, which after watching it I definitely felt how it would be, even though they drop an F-bomb once. But hey, whatever. And when I was watching it with them, I'm like, yeah, that would have been R right there. But okay, sure. So my excitement level was high, but when it first came out, I was like, it kind of dwindled, but not as much. So anyway, I was very excited. So, now talking about the characters of this movie, kind of want to discuss all of them, as well as the characters and the villains. I think everybody, not being biased here, I think everybody delivered on who they played. And I'm not that guy, like, when I go see a Marvel movie, or even any movie, for like, if it's not, like, something, like, a specific, accurate to the comics, whatever, I just want the actors to be themselves. And I felt like this movie depicted the actors were who they played in those roles. I felt like no one was underutilized. No one did over the top. I feel like they just deserved credibility for who they're playing. And, you know, it goes for Robert Pattinson because he is no longer Twilight Boy anymore. He is Batman. When he is suited up, he's not a vampire. He is the Batman. What's his face? Gollum, Andy Serkis, delivers as Alfred. He's not the best Alfred, but he is a pretty darn great one. Jeffrey Wright as I almost said Alfred again. Commissioner Gordon, he's good. The one thing I'll say about Commissioner Gordon, I'm not completely sure. Well, I do like his Commissioner Gordon. I was gonna say I'm not sure the route that they were going, but I do like his performance. Because I was like, aren't all Commissioner Gordons white? But this is it. Never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself because I was like, I like the performance a lot. I like the performance. So, the villains in this movie were something else. Catwoman has some team up moments, and I want to talk about the Penguin. The Catwoman has some team up moments with the Batman, and then kind of goes back and forth, I would say, between this movie and the Penguin. I want to discuss more about the Penguin, but the Penguin is so great. Colin Farrell, the makeup is insane. The way they just deck them all up in this makeup. I'm intrigued to see where they go with Penguin because from the trailers he was kind of menacing. He was kind of like just so angry in this film, and then once you get to the end, you know, because the Riddler, by the way, the Riddler, Paul Dano, he was just acted so well in this role that I'm going to talk about more. But the Penguin, you know, the Bruce, Batman, thinks, you know, they think, all the police investigators think that the Penguin has done this crime, but it's really been the Riddler. And the Penguin's like, Oswald Cobblepot's like, no, I didn't do this. And then, so when you get to the end of the film, there's not really a tease, but we know that there's a Penguin series coming, so we don't know if it's a prequel or a sequel to this film. So I'm gonna be really intrigued to see, and I'm kind of excited to watch that, because before I saw the Batman, I was like, I don't know how I feel about a Penguin series, but now I really do feel like intrigued to see this series, because I want to know more about this character, and like, well, is he like gonna be like an anti-hero? Is it just gonna be like a crime boss about the Iceberg Lounge? That's something else I want to mention, going into a nice segue here about the Penguin. I loved that they took concept art, not just concept art, source material, and had the Iceberg Lounge in this movie, because I have not seen Batman Returns with the Penguin and Catwoman, which I don't know if I should or not, but I don't even know if the Iceberg Lounge was used in that movie. I've got to do some research on that, actually, because I thought that the inclusion of the Iceberg Lounge in this movie, I'm just like, oh, the Iceberg Lounge! Because I've played Lego DC Supervillains, and the Iceberg Lounge was in that game with the Penguin there, and I'm just a big guru for these types of inclusions, like when they're like, it wasn't just like Penguin was in this movie, no, they had the Iceberg Lounge, so I was glad that they included something in that realm. Not just like, oh, the Penguin's in this movie in Gotham, and, so. Something that I was excited about, glad that they had that included. Like I said, the Riddler, I'm going to kind of continue onwards here with the story and plot. The Riddler definitely worked in this film. I was going in, every time I watched the trailer, I was like, really? We're doing the Riddler again? And I know that's silly to say, because we've only had the Riddler once, but I was like, well, if we're doing a new Batman film, why can't we have someone more unique? But I feel like the Riddler worked in this sense, and I'll tell you why. This movie, overall, not just the Riddler, it felt very grounded, okay? And the Riddler is definitely a grounded character. And I definitely want to say, like, where my thoughts could go in the future. Like, I have teases down, like, where the next movie could go. But the Riddler is definitely a grounded villain, and I think going forward they'll have more grounded villains like him. And the Riddler in this movie was so intense, just so great. And the plot of this movie, the story, it is so intense. This story, I said story about like 3 times in that sentence, but the Batman movie, this plot, if you don't want to know spoilers, I'm kind of going to discuss random thoughts here, but this is a very detective story. And I'm not going to tell you right off the bat this is the best Batman, but when I was discussing this with my friends, they thought that everybody out in the world that's seen that has seen this movie goes back and forth. Is this better than The Dark Knight? It doesn't need to be better than The Dark Knight. It just needs to be a good Batman story, and that is what it is. It's just a good Batman story. It doesn't give huge backstory on. It doesn't give big flashbacks about Batman's parents, Batman's family, but Bruce Wayne and Alfred do have a discussion about how his parents died and how Alfred took him in, and all that sort of stuff. And it's just a nice, touching story. It has some heartwarming moments, and it also is a great detective story for Batman. When I was talking about this with my friends, they said, The Dark Knight kind of did it, but not in the sense where, you see him figuring out clues or crimes. This one has riddles and mysterious investigations and all this sort of stuff, like the nitty-gritty, which is awesome, which I personally find really interesting. I do really love the Nolan films, but this one is so great and different, fresh, because it introduces these concepts. Something I want to go into actually right now, which is about concepts. I did write down action, but the plot, it's something about story and the plot, is about the source material. I'm kind of actually skipping over, but I think it's a great way to go into that. These concepts this movie took so much source material, which is not a bad thing, a great thing, that they spent their time wisely on this. I feel like, after watching the Nolan trilogy, nothing's bad about those movies. Don't get me wrong. I love everything about them. But they have their own unique they have their own unique thing to each of those movies, right? They have the Scarecrow, they have Ra's al Ghul storyline, they have the Scarecrow, they have Joker in the Dark Knight, they have who else? They have well, Scarecrow, they have Catwoman and Bane in that one. And you know, they have all these types of things going for them in different concepts, like Batman's origin story and Batman Begins, the Dark Knight, Robin, even at the end of the Dark Knight Rises, they have the Robin tease. So they have all these sort of things going, right? And then Batman sacrifices himself at the end of that. But this one, they have so much source material from the Batman the Animated Series, from the video games, Telltale games, from, God, Batman comics, all this stuff that is incredibly useful. And Matt Reeves took all this and used all this stuff and just crammed it all in one movie. Now, at the end of the day, you could take, there's probably a handful of movies, like I can think of one, Transformers, The Last Night, or whatever the movie it was, Age of Extinction, that had like 5 plot holes, and they just crammed it all in one movie. But this one, Matt Reeves took one of his greatest directing, is that even English? Is that English proper? I don't know. But great directing skills, and took different material, and made a Batman story that was all cohesive, which is something that many directors either can't do or can do, and in this case, he did it. So I found it really, really well done. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I just loved everything, like, from all the different directions. I was like, again, I don't read every Batman comic, but I could tell that something was different, and I loved the direction they were going, especially with the games and the animated series, and yeah, so that's what I think on that. Swooping over, or gliding over, I don't know, to the action side of things. Something that I found personally interesting when, you know, how they inspired all these sort of things, is the action, or in the action, when, you know, Batman is either trying to run away from these bad guys, like the police people, or just fighting certain criminals, and you see him, like, take a grappling gun and just and go, and you know, you gotta use the sound effects when you do it. You gotta go, and then he just uses the wire, and you see him, like, go swoop up. You can just tell, like, they took this source, like, different sources and stuff, and then as he's gliding down, instead of using his cape, like, swooshing behind him, he has, like, this gliding, like, bat glider on him, and it just looks great. I love the direction that the choices that they took with that. It's great. I love that. The action is brutal, by the way. Like, the first scene you see Riddler and the glasses, or in like binoculars, and then you see him walk up in the mansion, and you just see him take this huge, like I don't even know what it was, like this knife, or there's like this butcher knife type thing, and you just see him. Spoilers, I know. But I warned you a couple times, but you just see him, like, brutally take out this dude. And then, you, like, in the trailer, you see him take out duct tape and then duct tape the guy's head. It's brutal, man. I knew going in it was going to be brutal, but I didn't know how, like, what was going to ensue. And then when I see this, I'm just like, wow. So yeah, that's something to think about it going in. Like, the brutality is brutal. Yeah, I just said that. The action is brutal. The next thing I want to mention is the cinematography. And oh my god, can I just let this sink in for a moment? If you've not seen this movie, you gotta go see this movie for one thing and one thing only. Not only to see the Batman, not only to see the villains, not only to see Gotham raining at nighttime raining. I mean, there's so many things you can see, but the cinematography is amazing. And by the way, which I just said this, it always has to rain in Gotham. It's nighttime and it's raining. Yeah, because, you know, that's what Gotham is. In video games, in the comics, anywhere. But I could not get enough of the cinematography. Every time a certain shot was happening, I'm like, that looks incredible. I love this shot. Oh my gosh, what this was insane. I was just like trying to like point to my friend. I'm like, look at that. after we got out of the theater, I couldn't just stop thinking about every shot I just saw. I want to mention the movie West Side Story, the new West Side Story that came out last year in 2021, and that actually just came out on Disney Plus last month, which I watched for the first time. Watched it twice now, and I love the cinematography in that movie. It's done really well. Steven Spielberg does a really great job with the cinematography in that. Well, I don't know if he did the cinematography, but directing it and everything about it. This movie, even though it's not a musical, even though it's not related to it, I just loved the different shots and angles and things they took. You know, like in West Side Story, there might be like a lamppost, there might be like water, puddles. Same thing in the Batman. When you see like Batman walk up and the puddle is just like stomp, stomp, stomp. And it's like, oh my god, the angle, like the sound effects from the water, like the rain drips. I was just like glued. I could not get enough of it. And I think one of the things about certain movies, like, you know, my friends and I were discussing this movie versus Marvel movies. Marvel movies are done well in their own way. And lots of Marvel movies are either have some great shots and others are worse than others or blah blah blah. But this movie captures a lot of things directors can and cannot do, which I kind of mentioned earlier. Where just the scenes and the shots, I feel like I gotta watch Planet of the Apes now, because that's one that Matt Reeves has done. And I feel like I gotta see how well he does that one. Just because the certain angles he took, like if it's on a lamppost in Gotham and it's like flickering, oh my god. It's something else, man. And I don't know, there's so many things too, just the way like the camera moves. Something else. With that said, with the cinematography, before I go into the ending and teases in the Penguin series, I gotta talk about my favorite scene of this movie right now, which was the Batmobile car chase scene. That had to be my favorite moment of this movie. Beyond everything else, that was my favorite my favorite scene of this movie. I walked out of the movie, just said like, and like I said, I was discussing the cinematography, but I also loved the car chase scene. The Batmobile. Like, when the Batmobile revs up, oh mama, it's incredible. And when Batman just driving, chasing the Penguin across the highway, I have listened to that track of Michael Giacchino when the Batmobile, when they're chasing, so much. It's actually called Highway to the Anger Zone, which is something kind of funny. But that scene with the car chase, him chasing the Penguin, was incredible. Almost zero line of dialogue until the Penguin says, "Ha, I got you!" And I kept thinking to myself, there's like no cuts here. There's like no cuts whatsoever. This has to be one take. I mean, the whole car chase scene was like practical, but it had to have been one take. No cuts whatsoever. So that was incredible. I loved it. My favorite scene from the movie. I mean, the ending fight scene was great as well, but it just, if I had to say, if someone asked me what was my favorite scene from the Batman movie, the car chase, the Batmobile car chase, no doubt about it. All right, going into the ending and teases. So, big spoiler here if you don't want to know, but if you're already here at this point, why even bother leaving? So, the thing I want to mention is, I don't really want to mention the big battle. Well, big spoilers. The Gotham City is flooded, and we really don't know if it's resolved or not. If we see a Batman 2, it might be resolved. But, yes, the Riddler does, actually, his master plan does go wrong, or I guess go right in that sense, and tragedy happens, and Gotham is flooded. And then when, I guess you don't see him when Batman is at Arkham, but Batman and the Riddler have a conversation. Riddler knows Batman is Bruce Wayne. Whoa, shocker. And then, big mind blow. And then after that happens, you go back to Arkham, and you see conversation between another inmate and the Riddler. And then once that conversation is over, they start laughing together, and you find out that the other guy is the Joker. And who is played by none other than Druig himself from the Eternals. I find that quite interesting. I don't know if we'll see him in the next one. I hope we do. Like, I don't know if it's just like, oh, he's there in jail, he's there in Arkham, but we might not see his face. Who knows? But I thought that was a nice little tease. I'm excited. I think it's a great actor choice, great casting. So I'm excited to see that. And so teases we could see in the next one. Things that I personally think could happen, like villains I'm most intrigued to see. I hope Gotham is not flooded in the next one, gets resolved there. But we got the Joker tease. We could see Deathstroke maybe, because that was that's a more grounded villain. That was supposed to be in the Ben Affleck Batman movie. That would be really nice to see him. Maybe more of Penguin, who knows, but maybe Mr. Freeze. They could do a really good Mr. Freeze grounded villain. And I'm trying to think of what Dr. Hugo Strange. That would be a cool grounded villain as well. So those are some I think that would be really nice grounded villains to see in the next one, in the Batman 2. I definitely really excited for them to do a Batman 2 movie. I am not really that excited to see Flash. I'm sorry. I'm really excited for Black Adam. I thought the Suicide Squad was great. Thought Peacemaker was great. I thought the Batman was great. Three wins in a row for DC. I'm looking forward to Black Adam. I think they're going to win with that movie, actually. Shazam 2, I'm quite excited about. I like the first one. Aquaman 2, I'm looking forward to. I like the first Aquaman, so hopefully they can win with these ones. The Flash, I just have no interest for. I'm sorry. I hope it's good when it comes out. I really don't know. But the Penguin series, I'm quite excited about because of this movie. I think the Penguin delivered. Colin Farrell delivered on his acting. The makeup on him was insane. But I'm excited for the Penguin series after this movie. Not excited about the Flash. Don't come at me. But until I see the movie, it's like at this point the Boy Who Cried Wolf. It keeps getting delayed, and I can't get excited about it until something actually good about it happens. I'm not a huge fan of Ezra Miller's Flash. It's kind of all over the place. Who knows? The film could win me over. This Batman definitely I was always excited about, and the movie did win. And so who knows? DC has been winning for the past 3 projects, and we'll see where they go. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the Batman. I love the Batman. I'm not excited for the Flash, but that's okay. The Batman movie review. Leave a like if you did enjoy it. I'll give this film a 9.5 out of 10, as did my friend. Not saying that because he did. I definitely think it deserves a 9.5 out of 10. Also, stay tuned for my next review, which will be Moon Knight. I believe that's the next one. No, will be Morbius, then Moon Knight. Had to think. I'm going to be watching Moon Knight at the same time as Morbius, but my next review will be Morbius. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this review. Please like if you did. If you have not already, please follow me at Instagram at BobaFett. Links down below. Subscribe to the channel, which is the buttons down below as well. Be part of the channel family. Also, I hope this review was alright for you, even though it was kind of dark. I am vengeance. And as always, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow me. As always, don't forget to keep calm and play Lego. See you guys in the next review. Peace out. Bye, everyone.